We have already seen how to create a basic habit tracker using Notion database. But in this video, we shall enhance that basic habit tracker to create the habit entries automatically each week. We'll also add a progress bar. Then we shall display the habits in a specific sequential order. And lastly, we shall also do some beautification so that the habit tracker looks good. And I shall also share a bonus tip at the end of the video. We created a very basic habit tracker in the first video. In case you have not seen that video, you can watch it from the I button, and I will also put a link in the description and you can watch it from there. In this video, we are going to work on that habit tracker and we will enhance it to make it far better. And the first thing that we will do is that instead of creating those habits manually on every week, which we discussed in the first video, we will create those habits automatically using Notion task automation. And let's see how do we do that. To create the habits automatically in Notion, we need to create the templates for all of those habits. To create the template, click on this down arrow beside this new button and then click on new template. Let's create the template for the first habit. Work on personal project. Once we create the template, we can create the new database entry using that template. Now, if you remember, we created all these habits manually in the first video. Instead of creating all of this manually, we can use the template to create all these entries. So let's first remove all these habits that we created manually in the first video. Okay, so till now we have just created one template, which is work on personal project. Now if you click on this, it will pop up a screen like this, and as you can see on the left hand side, if we just close this, it has created this new entry. So let's create another template, new template, and we will call it, let's say, journaling. Click just outside of this window and it will close this automatically. So now you can see there is this new template, journaling. If you click on this, it will create, close it, it will create the database entry. Let's create another one, call it get good sleep. Come here and click on this and it will create the database entry. So what I'm trying to show here is that we can create the database entry using the Notion database template. Now this is still manual. We created the template for these three habits and we are creating the database entries of these habits using the Notion template like this. So if I click on this, it will create another entry in the database. Let's delete this one. But instead of creating these habit entries manually using the template, we can use this repeat option to create the entries automatically. Now by default it is set as off, but if we want to create the entries automatically using the template, we can click on this and it will show these options. Now for our case, we want to create the database entries every week, so we will select this week option and then we can select on which day of the week we want to create this. So we'll select Monday here, and we can also specify the time, at what time we want to create these entries into the database. So let's say we want to create at 4 a.m. in the morning, and when we want to start, so we can start from, let's say, tomorrow, and we'll keep this option as never so that it will keep on creating the entries, and time zone will be selected based on your time zone, and you just need to click on save. And once you save and come out of this, it will show this symbol, and this symbol indicates that Notion will create the database entries using this template automatically based on the schedule mentioned here. Let's do it for the remaining two here. Week, Monday is selected here, so we'll select 4 a.m. tomorrow, never, save. Same here. Monday, tomorrow, 4 a.m. save. Let me create the templates for other habits and schedule those accordingly. Okay, so I have now created the templates for all the remaining habits, and I have also scheduled those to create the habit on every Monday of the week. And this is how we can create all those habit entries automatically in Notion database. Now let's see how we can order those habits in the database based on our need. All these habits that we are trying to track in this Notion database are to be performed at different times throughout the day. For example, wake up early is the first habit of the day that we want to track, and the second habit could be jogging or meditation. Similarly, journaling is something maybe we want to do at the evening, but these habits are currently displayed randomly, and reason for that is whenever we create the entry of a new habit, it will just appear at the beginning of the database or top of the database if we are not using any sort or filter. So just to show you an example, if we want to create another entry for this habit, meditation, click on that and it will just create the entry at the beginning. Let's delete this. Currently it is not displayed in any specific order, but if we want, we can display the habit in such a way that the first habit of the day that we perform can appear at the beginning of the database, followed by the second and the third, and so on and so forth. Let me show you how do we do that. In order to do that, we need to add a new column to the database, and the type of that column would be number. So we'll rename this to display order. Okay, so now we have to decide which habit that we want to perform at the beginning of the day. So let's say wake up early is our first habit of the day, so we'll call it number 1, and jogging is the second habit, then meditation maybe the third habit, work on personal project could be the fourth one, followed by reading number 5, then number 6 could be journaling, drink water could be 7, just to indicate that at the end of the day we met that target, and get good sleep could be the last habit of the day. After adding these habit entries, we can use this sort option to display the habits the way we want it to display. So we will select display order, and as you can see, these habits are now displayed in specific order. Now let's add a progress bar just to indicate how well we have been performing all those habits throughout the week. To add the progress bar, we need to create another column, and we will select formula this time, and we will call this progress. Formula is a special type of Notion database column, and this is really powerful, and we can do a lot of things using Notion database formula. However, if you have not used it earlier, then you may find Notion database formula little overwhelming at the beginning, but what I am going to show you is a very simple version of Notion formula, and if you follow closely, you will be able to understand it fully. So for our progress bar, we will just have to write this simple formula. Let me write that first, then I will explain. Now let me try to explain this formula. If you remember, we created 7 columns to keep track of the habits from Monday to Sunday, and we selected the property type checkbox. Now what this formula is going to do is that for each of those days, whenever that checkbox is checked, then it will consider that as count 1, and based on the number of days we check that box, it will calculate the total count. That's all. Now let's close this window, and if you see here, this is all 0 because none of this checkbox is currently selected. Now let's say for the first habit we perform it on Monday. You see the number changes to 1, then Tuesday number changes to 2, Wednesday 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Similarly, this one, if I select this 4, it will show 4. If I say 1, 2, 3, it will say 3. If I say 2 here, it's 2. If I say 1 here, it will say 1. But this is still a number. You do not see any progress bar here. How do we convert this number into progress bar? Very simple. You just have to click on this and click on edit property, and you see the bar here. Click on this, then you can choose the color from here. Now for our case, how many total entries we have? We got 7, so we want to divide the summation by 7. You can check this one. What it will do, it will show the bar as well as the number. So let's come out of this, and as you can see, since this value is 7, so the entire bar is showing as green. Whereas in this case, this is 4, this is 3, 2, 1, like that. And if you prefer to see in a ring, you can also do that. No change here, just like this. So this is how you can add the progress bar in your habit tracker. Now let's make some more changes to this habit tracker so that it looks little pretty. So we can do two things. We can add a page cover, or we can add an icon to make it look better. So let's try to add an icon first. So click on this. So you can add emoji, or you can add icons, or you can also upload your personalized image or icon. So for our case, let's say, since this is wake up early, let's see if there is anything with sunrise. Yeah, maybe this one looks good. Similarly, we can add an icon for jogging also. So let's say jogging run. Yep, you can select this one. Meditation, let's see if we have something for meditation. Yeah, there is one for meditation. Let me add for the rest. Okay, so this is now looking much better after adding all these icons. Now let's add an icon and cover page here. I'll choose an icon, add a page cover. Okay, so after adding the page cover and icon, it is now really looking good. Let's do one more thing. Let's hide this display order. Okay, so this is how the habit tracker now looks like. Okay, so I will share a bonus tip, and this is not an essential thing for the habit tracker. However, if you are aware of that, you may find that useful later whenever you encounter that particular scenario. Let me talk about that. Okay, so we have these habits that we want to track, and as you will start tracking the habit, you may want to add more, or you may want to delete more, and things like that. Now, the way we have created this habit tracker now is we want to create all these habits automatically. And what did we do for that? We created all the templates and we scheduled all of those so that this get automatically created. Now let's say there is a habit that we don't want to track anymore, and there are two ways we can do that. We can come to this template and we can remove this scheduling. So if we come here and let's say we don't want to track this journaling habit anymore, so we'll just click on stop repeating, and the Notion will not create this habit anymore. So that is option 1. And the second option is to create a new column and select the property type as select. We call it display flag, and the value will be yes and no, and let's say yes to all except the last one, and modify the filter, convert this to advanced filter, add another rule, display flag is yes. So now you can see the last habit is not shown here. What is the advantage here? We don't have to make any changes here in this scheduling. So this is another way of filtering the habit. I hope you can now create your own habit tracker using Notion database. In case you have any doubt or queries or you face any challenges while creating the habit tracker, then leave a comment and I shall respond to you. If you want to learn more about Notion database, template and formula, then you can watch my video on how to create a personal financial budget and expense tracker using Notion database, where I have covered all of these topics in detail. I hope you found this video useful. If so, then like and share. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.